Everyone, welcome back to 1111 at the Grotto. My name's Adam. On behalf of all of us here, we're so thankful that you are here to join us today. This is kind of an exciting Sunday for us because this is our last Sunday online with you, and we're so excited for you to join us in person this June 5th. You know, 1111 is a chance for us to unpack what church can be like, to demystify coming together, learning about God through His Word and through song and the Psalms. From wheels up to wheels down, it's never more than like 15 minutes, and we're so excited you're here with us. Let's get started.
The Lord is King, the Most High, over all the earth. The Lord is King, the Most High, over all the earth. The heavens proclaim His justice, and all people see His glory. All gods lay down before Him. The Lord is King, the Most High, over all the earth. The Lord is King, the Most High, over all the earth. Over all the earth.
I don't know about you, but some of the most valuable things that I own are not necessarily things that were bought and given to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of really cool gadgets and toys, and there's a lot of things that I've been gifted along the way that mean a lot. But some of the most valuable things that I own are the things that were handed down to me. One of the things that I have that's most important to me is this. This is my wedding ring, but before it was my wedding ring, it was my grandfather's wedding ring. There's a lot of history behind this. He's gone now. He's no longer alive. And I was given this wedding ring by my grandmother years ago. I had a wedding ring, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's a nice ring. It just kind of tarnished in a way that didn't feel right, and it was kind of a little bit heavier than I expected over time. And when he passed away, she gave it to me because she knew it would have value. There's a lot of little dings and marks on this ring that make it really important. I remember one time he was trying to fix a gutter on his house, and he fell off the ladder, and as he was falling, he made the cardinal mistake of trying to grab onto the gutter to stop himself from falling. And what do you think happened? Well, his hand slipped, and the only thing that was keeping him from falling down to the ground and breaking his back was his wedding ring, which is good. It kind of saved him a little bit, but it got hooked on the gutter, and it sliced into his finger really bad, and it damaged the ring. And eventually my uncle came out and they helped get him down and stuff like that, but his finger was pretty badly damaged, and they actually had to wind up cutting the ring to get it off. Eventually he got it repaired, but there's a little mark right here where you can tell where it was cut and then soldered back together to make one complete ring. I don't know if soldering is the right word. I'm not a jeweler. But everything about this ring has a lot of history. And it was something that was handed down to me by somebody I love a lot. That's why it's got such tremendous value to me. When I think about the value of this ring and how it was handed on to me, I think about our gospel reading this week. Jesus is, again, affirming what it means to love in a kingdom sense. And when he talks to his disciples about what love is, in this reading, he actually starts praying directly to God. He starts speaking directly to his Father, and he points out three really important things that he wants us to know about a relationship, a love relationship with God, is that relationship should be based on unity. He says it three different ways. First, he talks about unity between him and God. Jesus came so that we may have an intimate, eyelash to eyelash relationship with God. That we're no longer servants or slaves, but that we are called friends, he says. And he says this when it comes to unity with him and God. You loved them even as you loved me. Father, they are your gift to me. Jesus is saying very clearly that God the Father loves us each individually, that he desires an intimate one-on-one relationship with each one of us, and that we are a gift that God has given. We have value and worth beyond measure, that we have something so inherently special to us because we are given by God. Secondly, when Jesus talks about unity, he talks about the unity of the church. And what this means is he desires that all those who profess to believe in him to be one. He says this, that they may all be one as you, Father, and I are one, you in me and I in you, that they may also be in us. I think one of the things that sometimes trips us up about being a part of a church or part of a community of people who believe the same thing about God is that we all have to get in line. We all have to be uniform in what it is and how we act and what we say and what we do. And what Jesus' real heart is for us is unity, not necessarily uniformity. That we may be one in love of him and in love of God. And just as importantly as we should be one in love of him and of God, Jesus also says that he wants us to be one as a people here on the earth. He says that they may be one as we are one, I in them and you in me, that they may be brought to perfection as one. And that sounds like an awfully tall order, to be brought to perfection, because many of us who've come to get to know who God is we look at God as perfect, and we are not perfect. We constantly make mistakes. We constantly fall short. That doesn't make us bad, but we can't be exactly perfect the way that God is. But sometimes we misidentify perfection as good behavior. That's not what God says when he's talking about perfection. When Jesus is talking about perfection, he's talking about perfectly loving one another, inviting one another in, caring for the stranger, clothing the naked, caring for the sick, visiting the imprisoned. We say this prayer called the Our Father. We talked about it before. And there's this really important line, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. And for me, for the longest time, I thought that that line meant I'm waiting to get to heaven, because in heaven, everything's gonna be perfect and all of my favorite people are gonna be there, and I'm gonna get to spend all day hanging out by the milkshake pool, and I'm gonna have six-pack abs, I'm gonna look like Thor, that everything's gonna be perfect. And that's not what heaven really is. When Jesus is talking about thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, it is not only a proclamation of the glory of heaven, but it is an invitation to us to bring that perfection here on earth. And what does that mean? It means loving one another, caring for one another. It means enacting a kingdom of love and grace and equity and justice and mercy. It means us realizing that we are supposed to lay down our lives for one another and give up our selfishness and our pride and the things that we have put in the place of God that wind up taking control of our hearts. We as people need to enact grace and mercy here on the earth, to strive for justice and to show grace and to love perfectly as Jesus does.